Welcome back to the lab. Still working on this 69 Gloria with VK56 supercharged V8. Roar, V8. I'm supposed to be taking stuff off this table and putting things on the car. I got sidetracked and I'll put more things on the table that will go onto the car. So the little Sylvia that had the V8 in it, that we've stolen all this gear out of to do this project, this is the oil filter that was in that, which is, I mean, okay, it had dry sump system and it's a race car, and we've got that, and we should look at a way of using that, but that weighs about 9,000 kgs. It's pretty damn heavy, and there really is no room for fitting it in the engine bay at all. Nowhere. So it could live up here, right? So mount that up in there, and that would work. I apologise if it's dark in here. The power is off, so I'm kind of working in the dark a little bit. There's enough for me to see, maybe not you guys though. So anyway, we've got that oil filter. We could use that, but I've just rung the local agent for these fellas, and it's going to take longer than I thought to get this open. We'll do an unboxing. Camera's running off on me. It's not going to work. Hang on. Oh, there we go. We're getting there. So we've got our hands on a sticker that I just dropped on the ground. Oil filter relocation system. Beautiful. So these kits are actually so well priced, it's just not worth fluffing around. But we already have what is essentially in this bag here. This is what the oil filter screws onto. This is significantly smaller than that big monster I just showed you. All we really needed was this piece here. This is the bit that goes on to there. Thing is, that bit there that you can't see, that bit there is like, I think it's $110 or something like that. That whole kit that I just showed you with all the fittings and the hoses and the other fitting and everything is like $310. So, you know, and then it's done. You've got all the pieces you need. We do have a bunch of hoses on the shelf and stuff, and it's possible we've got enough to get away with it, but you know, as soon as I need one piece of hose and two fittings, you started accumulating enough money, we could have just bought the whole kit and been done, and can sell that large filter and bracket, which is brand spanking new, to someone else with a drifty car who wants a big filter like that. So I've done that. Right, so I'm going to take this all apart and we're going to put it on the car, and then we're going to figure out where our sway bar is going to go on the car, because at the moment, the way things are set up, if you try and put a filter directly off here and then try and get the sway bar through here, it's a disaster, and the filter will probably be a little bit low and might get smacked into by, what did I say it was, small children, dogs and possums and birds and stuff. So right, that's action cam. I think we'll go action cam, and we'll start getting all this stuff out and on the car, figuring out where we're at. Alright, so this bit's always fun. Out with a knife, cutty. Make sure, of course, you don't cut any seals or anything. That's dumb when that happens. Didn't need a knife. Oh, look at that. That's a really nice piece of gear, that. There's other potentially cheaper, or actually they didn't work out that much cheaper, options on our local auction site, internet auction site, Trade Me, and a couple of interesting marks. That must be from when they're anodizing it, and they're probably similar pricing, but I mean the quality of this is significantly better, no question about it. So you can stay there. Yeah, it's good. We don't need this piece right away. This is an adapter to fit onto bigger stuff. We don't need that. Let's put that away. What we need is some elbows. Oh look, those are neat. They screw straight into that. That's cool. 4 of those. That's the other thing I was looking for. There's a problem here. Right, so I have to make something. disaster. There's no thread coming out of this to hold that, so I have to make something to go in between here and here. There's adapters in my hand to go into here to get the thread the same as what's on this is in there. It's 20 by 1.5. I need to aim that a bit higher. That's 20 by 1.5, and there's an adapter to fit into here to get that right, but I need a piece of tube. Let's have a look and see if I can find something and amongst all my guff. I'm sure there will be. Right, when I said no power, there's no power to the lights, so the lathe should go. Look at that. That works. I just can't see what I'm doing. There it is. I'll just borrow the headlight off the march here. Ta-da! And I'll be able to see considerably better. Is it going to sit on there? Crikey. That's sketchy, isn't it? Hey, but it's there. That'll do. Right. So I found by fitting, I'll show you that. That's not going to work because this piece in the middle is in the way, so we need to get rid of that. Now, ideally you'd just make it from one piece of tube with a thread on it. That'd be cool, but I don't have a 20 by 1.5 die. I don't think I have a 20 by 1.5 die. Let me see. 14, 16. Ha! Would you look at that? See, it actually pays to have a look. So I'm going to change that plan that I just had just now. I'm going to put this in the lathe the other way around. I'm going to hold it there. I'm going to turn that down just a touch. I'm going to run that die nut down there. Then I'll part it off and we'll have the perfect thing. And I won't have to tig it all back together shorter, which was what my original plan was. Let's not be turning that down at all. It's an optical illusion. Looks like that's a lot bigger than that, but really it isn't. So, where's our die nut? I lost it. Had a rummage around in my drawer. It turns out I've got a die nut, the perfect size for what we want to do right now, so that's good. Must have been there in the past, needed it for something. So, awesome, die nut. There you go, it's a thread cutting devicey thingy. Here's that fitting I was talking about. Had one of those, found that. Need some lubrication. You can use grease, you can use cutting compound, you can use CRC, anything. Any of that stuff. I use CRC because it's just all over the place, easy to get. Put that on there, wind that onto there. The reason I'm doing this is because we need just one section of longer thread and we can't have that nut there because it doesn't have room with what we're doing. And I'm using that so the whole lot's held nice and steady in the lathe. Oh, does that fit that? Oh, come on. That one doesn't fit. What about my other 12-inch? Different brand. Ta-da! Right, so here we are cutting our thread. This is going to get really boring in about 2 seconds for you guys. So I'll edit some of this out. Get back to the exciting stuff. Right, so there's our thread cut on there. A little bit rough. That'll be alright. We actually want it to bind up a little bit in one of those ends anyway, so I'm probably going to give that a bit of a thwack with a hammer to make it tight. Otherwise this whole assembly could literally wind its way into the motor perhaps, or into the oil fitting, and cause the whole thing to fall off. Oh, there is a stop there, it can only go so far, but still, I do not want this loose, even though it'll have tension on it either way. I don't want it having the ability to rotate and move. So, like I say, I'll give it a bit of a clock with a hammer. Let's roll part that off. Oh, I got a clever idea. Let's part it off this here. Yes. And I'll show you my cunning plan. That'll be nice and hot. In the meantime, I'll put some things away while that cools down. I do try to keep my workshop tidy. It just doesn't normally pan out that way. Ta-da. Yeah, it is hot. So we've got a little piece on the end there that doesn't have any thread on it, so now I can wind that in from the other side of that fitting that's in our oil filter adapter dooflicky, that thing. So safe jaws to protect the thread. The bearing tool. Oh, I'm going to get even fancier than that. Why not? That'll do. I made it hotter now, it was smoking then. Anyone worried about flow, that should be alright. It's going to flow as best as it can. Right, loud noise. Smelly chemicals. All over my hands, giving myself cancer. Good, eh? Not really. Right. Take this little fitting here out of here. Wind that way. There we go. I can make that tight on there. That goes into there. And we check that I haven't made that thread too long. I think think it is just a little bit too long. Yep. I need to pull a couple of millimeters out of that. It's bottomed out on the end of that thread inside there, which is probably not a bad thing if I can tighten it right up. So it doesn't come off. And this feels like we'll get that at 90 degrees, which is about where I want it. It'll be the right way up. For the lettering too, just to be nice feng shui. That'll be today's word, feng shui. Yeah, see, she stopped in the end of the thread. Okay, that's really easy to fix. Right, so that's had a little bit taken off the end of there. That will make that fit into there and into there very, very nicely. Obviously a bit of Loctite or something like that when that's going together for the final time. I shortened that up quite a bit more than what I possibly needed to, because if we had that butted up to the, let's see if you can see that piece at the end, if we had that butted up to the end of that housing in there, obviously that'll restrict the oil flow a little bit. So I've pulled it away from there just to make sure we haven't got that problem going on. So now, doesn't matter whether that's sitting in the right spot or not at the moment. Won't make any difference to fitting this. So we want to turn that around. Oh yeah, it's spun out, you nuisance. But anyway, it's not going to change anything. Oh. It is, because if I've got to put a fitting in there and it hits the end of that, that'll be a nuisance. Gee whiz, she's fighting. This is cars. They can do this. Fiddling with something that seems so simple. And if you're fussy about it, it gets harder and harder and harder. Somewhere there's a little girl screaming. So, what we can do anyway, that'll stop that turning. Now I can pinch that up with some debauchery. Where are they? There they are. Oh, I can see you guys cringing already. Yeah, that's tight now. That ain't going nowhere. Yes, that's good. As I was saying, yes, that's good. I have to close that door unless you guys want to hear our little girl playing in her bedroom. Oh god, now that doesn't fit. There we go. We'll get there. Why don't I put some lube on that so we don't damage the seal? Cool. Told you that would end up in a good spot. I bought a new hammer. I did. It's good, eh? That's not a stupid amount of torque. I wasn't hitting it particularly hard. Next up, two fittings on there. Bearing in mind where that belt runs, I believe it runs up over there somewhere, and that one comes up and goes over there somewhere as well, so it should be alright. I'm going to leave, no, I'm going to put the rubber seals on in case we forget and this ends up staying on here forever. It's very tight, that's supposed to turn, yeah, it does, cool. One, we need some music going for you guys, eh? see if I can put some music on one of my videos one day. Some of the free YouTube music. There we go. No more girls playing in bedrooms. Right, so we'll run that over there somewhere like that. This one here, same deal. I have to turn that nut. That one's quite tight. Really don't want to put spanners on it just yet. Might have to. Anyway, you get the picture. That'll go over there somewhere. Pull them both back a little bit. We can get the feng shui looking good. That hose will come out. Yep, that'll be clear of where the belt was. I'm thinking we run the two hoses up over the top of this. Under here, we put our oil filter up in this area here, and it'll be marvellous. Right, probably skipped a couple of steps there. Box is looking a little bit more empty. That's what I was talking about earlier. It's supposed to be taking stuff off that table and putting them on the car. So, a little bit of light. Look, I'll shine some light on it so you can see. There we go. Beautiful. Tucks up over the top of that, out of the way. A couple of P-clamps on there already, all set up so that all the pieces are there. When we take it to pieces and put it all back together again later, we'll have all the hardware we need. And we've got an oil filter tucked away up in there. So there's still some things to go on in here. I talked about a radiator header tank that might live in here, or a windscreen washer or something, so I'm not going to worry about a shield for that just yet. But that's going to be mint for changing the oil filter. It'll be right there. And anyone worried about, you know, if he has an accident it'll get damaged and stuff, or hey, if you've wiped out the oil filter and behind there the headlights are gone, the front bumper's punched in, there's possibly going to be a leaking radiator anyway, you're not going anywhere, you know, so that's all good. Pretty happy with that. Oh look, it's 5:30. That'll do for today. That's pretty good. We'll put some sleeving over that hose, I think, because that stuff tends to attract dirt and crap and look real yucky. So we'll see if we can get maybe some fire sleeve or something like that and make it look nicer. Long term, short term it looks beautiful. Long term it does get a bit yucky pretty quickly. So it'll do for that part. Actually, apart from wiring for the oil pressure sender, I think that's the oil system done. We don't have an oil cap to put any oil in the engine yet, so I need to resolve that, and then we can prime it with oil, etc. And we can't crank it over because there's no flywheel to make the starter motor engage. Oh, never mind, we'll get on with those things later.